But we also have 4 very interesting matches here. And let's start with the women's tag match between WWE Women's World Champion Tiffany Stratton teaming with Trish Stratus, who's going to be hell for the announcers to keep straight with Tiffany Stratton and Trish Stratus in the same ring. And they're going to be taking on Nia Jax and Candice LeRae. This is servicing the Canadian faithful here, bringing back Trish on her home soil in the biggest venue that they could have in that country. And she's going to go over. I mean, plain and simple. She is going to go over in this matchup. One, because you're not going to have Trish lose in Canada. And secondly, because you're not going to have Tiffany lose at this point. Nia and Candice have had the upper hand in this entire short-formed rivalry. This entire feud has been Trish coming in to help Tiffany and then absolutely getting demolished by Nia Jax. Same thing goes for Tiffany. She's just been demolished by Nia Jax week in and week out, no matter who's helping her, and it always ends in the same thing. Charlotte Flair standing over her, laughing at her, making fun of her, and telling her, hey, your days are numbered. I'm taking that title at WrestleMania. So on Saturday, I highly doubt that they're going to have Trish lose in Canada, and I highly doubt they're going to have Tiffany lose to one of Candice LeRae or Nia Jax. Even if Trish takes the pinfall, I don't see them having Tiffany lose while being protected. It just makes no sense to me. I don't think that's going to happen. So in my eyes, I think you have Tiffany and Trish going over on Saturday. Let's go to the other non-chamber match, one that I talked about a lot last week in Sami Zayn versus Kevin Owens in an unsanctioned match in Toronto. Simply put, and if you listen to last week's episode, that you'll know what I'm about to say. Kevin Owens has to win. There's no other option. They can't do anything else. Kevin Owens has to go over Sami Zayn at Elimination Chamber. If it's anything else, then the WWE have sincerely and wholeheartedly screwed up and ruined the entire heel turn of Kevin Owens. He needs to win. He needs to. He needs to continue being built as one of, if not the top heels in WWE. Outside of the finish, which I think is going to go to Kevin Owens, this is going to be a car crash. It's going to be bad. It's going to be worse than Cody Rhodes versus Kevin Owens at Royal Rumble. Worse than that ladder match. There's going to be crazier spots in this than there is going to be in that there was in that match, I should say. Now, the one thing that everybody's talking about is Randy Orton's going to return? Probably. My hope is he returns post-match to stop Owens from inflicting further damage on Sami Zayn after he already won the matchup. That's what I think is going to happen. If Randy Orton comes back and he costs Kevin Owens the match, again, I don't like it. I think Kevin Owens needs to have those viable and impactful wins on his resume to help push his heel run forward. He hasn't had that yet. I'm not going to say it's been detrimental yet because he was in a feud with the WWE champion, so nobody expected him to win, but he needs to start collecting those marquee victories, and it needs to start this Saturday against Sami Zayn. So that's what I see happening in that matchup, and now let's get to the chamber matches, starting with the women's Elimination Chamber match, winner going on to face Rhea Ripley at WrestleMania 41. We have Alexa Bliss, we have Bianca Belair, we have the newly minted women's tag team champion Liv Morgan, we have Naomi, we have Roxanne Perez, and we have Bayley. This, and I'll say this and the men's chamber match, is really a toss-up, and I absolutely love it. We came away from Royal Rumble saying that finish with Jey Uso was unpredictable, and we went into it saying we don't know who's going to win. It could be one of many, many people, and they still surprised us. I love when there's that air of uncertainty for WWE events, especially ones that lead to main event matches at WrestleMania, and that's what we have here on Saturday in the women's Elimination Chamber match. Now, Bayley and Roxanne feel destined to continue their feud and maybe have another match at Stand and Deliver on WrestleMania weekend, so I don't see either of them going over. If they did, to me, I would consider that a big surprise. Liv, as I mentioned before, just won those tag team titles, so unless you're taking the titles off of Liv, I think it's kind of crazy to see her going over here after just taking the titles on Monday. And when is Jade coming back? Because if Jade isn't coming back till post WrestleMania, Bianca could win and you could run Bianca versus Rhea versus Io. Because I think no matter what, Io Sky is going to be involved in that matchup at WrestleMania. So there's really a lot of directions that they could go. I didn't mention Alexa Bliss, but it's mainly because she came back. They immediately put her on Smackdown for 2 weeks to be kind of adjacent to the Wyatt Six. It would make no sense for them to then have her win at Chamber and move over to Raw and get further away from Wyatt Six when they have already teased that a little bit. So I'm kind of stumped here, and I'm probably going to be wrong with whoever I choose, but my winner prediction for this one is Liv Morgan. I still feel that a triple threat between Rhea, Liv, and Io is the best direction for WrestleMania 41 and the most likely direction for WrestleMania 41. But again, I wouldn't be surprised if Bianca Belair won this because Jade Cargill's not coming back till post-Mania. I wouldn't be surprised if Bayley ended up winning for a second consecutive year and going into a triple threat with Io Sky because of their former ties at Damage Control and what we saw from them at WrestleMania 40. I would be a little bit surprised about Roxanne Perez, but I wouldn't hate it. I wouldn't hate it. I gave her the props of being the MVP of the year so far on last week's episode. I certainly wouldn't hate her seeing her go over at Chamber, but I think at the end of the day, I'm going to pick Liv Morgan in this one. And that brings us to the men's Chamber match. A star-studded, most stacked we've ever seen Elimination Chamber lineup for the men's Elimination Chamber matchup in Toronto. John Cena, Seth Rollins, Damian Priest, CM Punk, Logan Paul, and Drew McIntyre. A lot of people are giving Priest some hate. I think that his spot in this matchup is deserved, but when I initially penciled in Elimination Chamber post Royal Rumble, before we knew anything that was going on storyline-wise, he essentially took Roman Reigns' spot, and that's going to be hard for anybody to live up to, let alone somebody that hasn't been established as a main roster, main event talent for more than a calendar year. But I still think that when you look at this matchup, it has all of the tools to be one of the best Elimination Chambers we've seen in a very long time. It's the same as the women's, where it is a real toss-up. I could see it going in a multitude of directions. I mean, if you're shifting to Rock versus Roman, that means CM Punk is free from that rumored triple threat match. That means Seth Rollins is freed from that rumored triple threat match. And I can see either of them going into a program with Cody Rhodes and it being a decision that would be taken and made by WWE. I could also see Drew McIntyre, like I said earlier, walking out there, getting the win, which would be his third win in the Elimination Chamber, one of the matches that he has been dominant in over his career, and then walking back down the aisle, and then The Rock's music hits, he comes out, they shake hands, and boom, out of nowhere, Drew McIntyre is The Rock's champion. I could also see John Cena potentially getting it done. Babyface versus babyface at WrestleMania. The face of the company through the 2000s and the early 2010s versus the new face of the company, John Cena, in his final WrestleMania for the record-breaking title against Cody Rhodes. Maybe that's the story they go with. But again, it's the same as the women's. It's a real toss-up. Whoever I say, I'm not fully convinced is going to win. But with that in mind, my prediction is CM Punk. After the Royal Rumble, I said, what are my way too early predictions for the WrestleMania card? And I said, it's going to be Cody Rhodes and CM Punk. And I still think whenever you put any of these matchups together with any of these 6 against Cody Rhodes, the most compelling story, the most likely story that they're going to tell is CM Punk finally getting the opportunity to main event a WrestleMania, where you would get night 1, CM Punk versus Cody Rhodes for the WWE Championship, and night 2, you get Roman Reigns versus The Rock, which means for the first time since 2019, the Royal Rumble winner, the men's Royal Rumble winner, will not go on last at WrestleMania, which was Rollins at 35. I think Jey Uso versus Gunther gets pushed out of that last spot, and I think you see Punk versus Rhodes and Reigns versus the final boss, Dwayne Johnson. So that's what I see happening on Saturday. Let me know in the comment section what you believe is going to happen this Saturday at the Elimination Chamber pay-per-view.